Hey Internet, it's Alex from Calvin the Triangle, and I haven't really planned out what I'm gonna say with this one like I usually do. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I just watched an episode of Family Guy, and that's what I'm gonna talk about, and stick with me. Uh, I'm not easily offended, I guess. Like, I can realize when things are crossing the line and stepping on my toes and being all like, well, that's not something I agree with, or that's not something I think should be said on the air, or that's not really a fair opinion to give to everybody. Those are my usual complaints. And a lot of the time, even though I disagree with shows, I still really respect the right to their opinion and stuff. Like South Park did an episode on the word faggot, which I thought was a really well thought out other side of the argument, but I still think that I'm opposed to it. That's their argument. I still have some very strong reasons of why I'm opposed to that word and using it, but you know, that's just how it goes. Other people have their own ideas. But this last episode of Family Guy, don't know if you've seen it, called Quagmire's Dad. It's about the character Quagmire, who's a real sex hound, and his dad, who's a Navy hero guy, and it talks about how his dad has a sex change uh, within like the first 10 minutes of it. So I thought, that was my first kind of It's like, that's not really a good portrayal of uh, what a sex change operation entails. He like went in fully male and came out like a beautiful woman, and I'm like, okay, well that doesn't really portray the struggle, but I can see how it's a TV show. They need to simplify it a little bit. And besides, in the end, the new woman, her name Ida, Quagmire's dad said, I've been thinking about this for a long time and it's not something, so they cleared that up and I'm fine with that, that's what's necessary for television. But then, hijinks ensue. Spoiler alert if you're gonna go watch it or if you haven't seen it already or you care at all. Uh, Brian ends up sleeping with her, and I'm like, that's just so funny, they get along so well, and they end up sleeping together, and it's, that whole oops, he didn't know it was actually Quagmire's dad, and I thought it was going to work out. I thought it was going to be, the general. Everybody else in the episode is really obnoxious and, stupid, generally. That's just how everybody comes off. Except Brian and Stewie are the two smart characters that are all like, bring a more intelligent side to it. Side to everything, pretty much, in all the episodes. That's what they do. But instead, when Brian figures out that it was a transsexual, he throws up for like 5 minutes because it's a cartoon. That's apparently funny. And I'm like, that's not something that I would expect. And then he goes and showers for a long time. And, Quagmire at the same time ends up being really, realizing that he's happy for his dad. So I thought it was on the up trail. Like, Quagmire's coming around. He was upset at first because his dad's not, the stereotypical manly man that he always expected him to be. But, he ends up supporting his dad and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's a really nice way to end this episode. And then Quagmire finds out that his dad met someone. And he's all like, oh, I'm really happy for you. And then he finds out that it was Brian. And for some reason goes and beats the shit out of Brian. Which I know that seems to be a common theme. Brian just gets the shit beat out of him. And then the end of the episode is Brian all beat up, just going, hey, I fucked your dad. And slams the door and runs off. And I'm like, wow, yeah. I thought it was so disrespectful, the entire thing, to male to female transsexuals, and how, basically giving the message that they're disgusting, and that they're its, and that what's going on down there, in the words of the characters, is a complete train wreck, and it's not. I feel like male to females are honestly, they have better options for surgery because their bottom surgery, uh, yeah, isn't a train wreck, I guess is the only way I could describe that. It functions normally. unlike the FTM options, which I'm not even going to go into right now. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is that there was no other side to the argument. It was just, ew, trannies. That was the whole point. And I thought it was rude, and I'm not easily offended, but I thought the entire show was just terrible. It was, like, it wasn't even funny. That was just the point, is ew. Ew, 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 ew. You know, that's the only thing I ever said. Yeah, and, you know, even though I'm not an MTF, I still felt really offended. Like, I'm not sure if this is unusual and if this is offensive, and if this is something that most people not involved in the trans community would be like, haha, that's kind of funny, you transsexual. Is that really how people are? I guess I'm not so much mad at the show as I'm mad at myself for not realizing, is that actually how the public opinion is? Is the general public, is that what's acceptable, is ew? Is that people's general reaction to transsexuals? Because I've gotten a lot of stuff like, hey, that's wrong, and hey, that's immoral, or even the stupid, you're not really a guy thing, or you're not really a girl if you're transitioning the other way. But I never just, I have a couple times, but that's just because, you know, I'm generally not the best looking in between or whatever, but she was a really pretty woman. That was kind of one of the points, is that everybody thought she was really pretty before they found out. And really, internet, is that, I don't know, I'm honestly asking, this isn't rhetorical. Is that the public opinion? Are transsexuals actually disgusting? I always just thought that that was a word that crazy hyper Christian Baptists use to describe, you know, everything that they don't. I mean, that's, people say homosexuality is disgusting, and I never got it. I thought that it was just something people said, but I never realized that rational people would actually be, and I swear, disgusted, which is a big word, disgusted, not just surprised or you know, anything else that you would be, like interested or kind of confused, but disgusted by the idea that the woman that they had had sex with was, what, chromosomally, or however you say that they had a Y chromosome, something that you can't see and you can't deal with when it looked and it felt and it was a normal woman in all other respects. I'm so confused by what kind of bias you have for that to be so deeply ingrained in you that you just basically are your DNA, that nurture has no effect, that life has no effect, that who you are in your mind has no effect, that it's just the physical body you're born in. And I didn't realize that that was a part of our culture, or I mean, I knew that it was a part of it, and I knew that I thought there were extreme people that were like that, but I didn't realize that that's acceptable, that that's the public opinion, that I'm weird for not thinking that way. I am disgusted. Internet, that's my word. I am disgusted at this society.